guys, it's Stacey Ahern. I hope you all have had a fabulous week. We are baking shortbread cookies this week. These are the ingredients that we're going to need. I've got vanilla, salt, confectionery sugar, flour, 2 sticks of butter, and you're going to need some type of plastic wrap to wrap the dough in to refrigerate once we're finished. So this is going to come to you in a couple different steps. First, I'm going to show you how to make the dough, and then I will add in another video that's going to show you how to roll it out, how to cut it, and then eventually what it'll look like when it's baked, and you have the option of also dipping them in chocolate. Our first ingredient is going to be your 1 cup of butter. You are going to want to soften that butter if you can. Set it out on your counter about 30 minutes before you're ready to bake. If not, go ahead and stick it in your microwave for about 20 seconds or so. You don't want it melted, you just want it softened. You're going to cream that together, and then we're going to be adding 1/2 cup of the confectionery sugar. That'll be the next ingredient that goes in. So first I'm going to start creaming this together and get my 1/2 cup ready. Here's our 1/2 cup. Pick up the speed on this just a little bit. And when you've got it creamed together, you're going to add the sugar. Again, 1/2 cup of confectionery sugar. You're going to beat that until it's smooth. And the next thing we're going to be adding in is our vanilla, and we're looking at 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So go ahead and get that ready for your next ingredient. Pick up the speed a little bit to get that combined. If you have to, you might have to use your spatula. Scrape down the sides of your bowl a little bit. It tends to happen when you've got butter. So make sure that it's all scraped down so it's all mixed together. Otherwise you will have some clumps at the end. Again, the next thing I said we're going to be adding is your vanilla. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. It can be regular vanilla or clear vanilla. I just happen to have clear today, so it might look a little bit different than yours. Mix that around just a little bit more. And then the last 2 ingredients that we're going to add are your flour and your salt. You're going to have 2 cups of flour, and you're going to have 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And those things are actually going to be stirred in. So if you've got a hand mixer, stand mixer, whatever you've got, go ahead and put that away and grab some type of spoon or spatula that you want to continue to mix with. Push this off to the side here so you can still see what's going on. And I'm going to add in our 2 cups of flour. There's 1 cup. And 2 cups. And then our last ingredient is our salt. And that is going to be 1/4 teaspoon. If you do this with salted butter, you don't have to add the salt if you don't want to. That's usually what the difference is between unsalted and salted. It just gives you a reason to not have to add extra salt if your butter is already salted. And then you just take it and mix it together. Just kind of get it all combined. Shortbread cookie dough is a little bit different than dough that you're probably used to. The consistency is a little bit different. So you're just gonna make sure that it's all combined. All the ingredients are mixed up from below. And then what you're going to be doing is taking this dough and you're gonna be using that plastic wrap we were talking about, and you're going to be dividing it maybe in two. You can always double, triple this recipe, whatever you want to do. And you will be taking it, getting it to about this point where I've got it to where you can, you know, smush it in plastic wrap. And I'll show you how to do that. So you're going to take out your plastic wrap. This is always the crazy part, trying to get plastic wrap to work. We're going to unfold some plastic wrap. Scooch the bowl over so you guys can see this. Plastic wrap on my counter. And I'm just going to take about that much, maybe a little bit more. And then you're just going to fold it over. Make sure there's no holes in your plastic. You don't want really much air getting in there. Flatten it out kind of like a pancake, like this. You're going to take that and put that into your refrigerator for 1 hour. And then I want you to go ahead and locate your favorite cookie cutters, because after this is refrigerated for an hour, we will be rolling it out and cutting out whatever shape you want your shortbread cookies to look like. Okay, so here we go with rolling out our cookie dough. Your dough should have been in the refrigerator for about an hour or more. More is not going to hurt. More is probably better. You need to make sure you have a clean baking area, and you're going to want to put a little bit of flour to prevent dough from sticking to the mat and to your rolling pin. So you can put a little bit on your rolling pin like this. And then you're just going to roll this out. It will be a little bit stickier than your average cookie dough. Excuse me, at least that's what I've noticed with all the different types of cookies that I have baked. This one does get a little bit stickier. So try not to get too frustrated with that part. I would roll it out to about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch thick. You don't want it much thinner than that because shortbread can burn easily if your cookies are too thin. Sprinkle a little bit of flour on top once you've rolled it out so that your cookie cutters don't stick. You can also dip your cookie cutter in flour like this, get a little bit on the ends, and then cut it out. I chose Flowers, but you can use any cookie cutter that you would like. Sometimes you'll notice that your dough will get stuck depending on what kind of cookie cutters you use, but there's one cookie, and I'm going to put that on my baking sheet. These are going to be baked at 350 degrees, so I've got my oven preheating right now. 350 degrees for about 12 minutes. All ovens are obviously different, so just watch them. You want to see a little bit of a crispy brown edge, but not burnt. So I would stay close to the oven, kind of keep an eye on it. One tip about ovens also, do not open them up to look inside. Please use your light. Every time you open an oven when something is baking, the temperature will decrease and your baking will mess up. Something won't rise or something won't bake as well as you had hoped for. So with this recipe, and depending on your cookie cutter size, you should get around 20 cookies, give or take. It's looking actually like mine this time might be a little less than that. So I would approximately 20 cookies, might only end up being 15-ish. And again, you can always double or triple this recipe to make it as many as you would like. So preheated oven, 350. I'm gonna put this tray in for 12 minutes, and I'm gonna keep an eye on the edges to make sure that it's not getting burnt. You definitely do not want a burnt shortbread cookie. And then we're gonna get back on here, and I'm gonna show you exactly what they look like when they're baked, and I'm also gonna show you an option to dip in some chocolate. So here is what my baking sheet looks like. Spread far enough apart. Shortbread cookies will not spread a lot, but you still don't want them touching before they go in. Okay, so here we have our shortbread cookies after 12 minutes of baking. You can see that we have lightly browned edges, which is perfect. Bottom should look like that. I left these on the cookie sheet for about 30 minutes to cool down. I would suggest doing that. Shortbread cookies are super fragile, so if you leave them to cool down a little bit longer on the cookie sheet, you have a better chance of them hardening up and easier to work with. You obviously can eat shortbread cookies just like this, with nothing on them, no added decorations, chocolate, anything like that. However, I am going to give you one little option if you'd like to dip them. I like to dip mine half in chocolate and sometimes add a few sprinkles to it, just if I want to give them away as a gift or just make them look a little prettier. I did 1 cup of chocolate chips, and I did a tablespoon of coconut oil. You can also use a tablespoon of canola oil or vegetable oil or something like that. That's just to help thin the chocolate out a little bit. And I'm gonna stick this in the microwave for about 30 seconds. When you're melting chocolate, you always wanna do 20 to 30 second increments. You don't wanna put it in there for a minute or two because chocolate will burn very easily. So it's very important to just do it a few times in, like I said, 20 to 30 second increments, and that'll help you get smooth chocolate and not burnt chocolate. So I'll show you what this looks like after 30 seconds, and then we will dip a couple of these and we'll be finished. So that's the first 30 seconds, and probably be good doing it one more time. Again, this was 1 cup of chocolate chips and about a tablespoon of coconut oil, vegetable oil, or canola oil. Let me put it in for 30 seconds more, and I think we should be good. You want your chocolate to be thin and not clumpy, otherwise it'll be hard to dip these. I'm gonna do some rainbow sprinkles, but you can obviously do any sprinkles you want or no sprinkles at all. These are kind of cookies that you can make look however you want, and remember, they're awesome for any special occasion. We like to do turkeys and shamrocks in our house too. So, all right, so here's what our chocolate looks like, and this is what I do when I dip. Kind of tilt the bowl a little bit like this so it pools in one side, and I like to do just half, and I'll just stick the cookie in like this. Might have to do it a couple times like that, and it gets it half, and then I'll get my sprinkles, sprinkle a little bit like that, and now you have half of your shortbread cookie decorated. I'll show you one more time with another one. Make sure you let it drip and get the excess chocolate off of there so you don't have too much. And if you've got it, a wax paper or parchment paper or something like that, that's probably the best to have done on a sheet. I skipped that step this time. But when you're letting them cool, that's probably the best thing to do it on. And that's it. And I would let that harden for at least 30 minutes. If you want to stick your tray of cookies in the refrigerator, that'll make it harden quicker. And then you should be good to go. Thank you so much. See you next Friday.